So I understand this might be slightly strange for you guys, but in order to genuinely like show you how effective my laser hair removal has been, I'm just gonna have to strip off. This is my leg hair. But yeah, this is the final result. I'm so sorry, this is so intimate. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. So I basically wanted to share with you guys my laser hair removal experience, my story, just answer like all of the really common questions. I will say a massive disclaimer at the start of this video. Obviously laser hair removal or hair removal in general is a personal decision. I've grown up dancing and I've personally always preferred removing my body hair. I'm definitely a bit more liberal now with it, but yeah, it is your personal decision. If you want to remove it, that's fine. If you don't, you should feel no pressure at all to do so. So yeah, I would just say that at the start of this video obviously, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Definitely a like it if you do, and if you learned something, comment down below if you have any more questions, and if you're new around here you can subscribe and hit the bell so you know when I upload. So this video is not sponsored at all, but the first thing I'm going to address is where I got my laser hair removal done. So I went into London and I went to the Pulse Light Clinic. They have different branches across London. I went to the one in Tottenham Court Road. It's near like Oxford Circus basically. If you go to somewhere that's reputable and it has good reviews, just like do your research and then you should be in good hands. I overall had a good experience at the Pulse Light Clinic. Would I recommend it? Yes, there are some downsides I will mention, but generally I had a good experience. We're also going to address the big question, like near the start of this video, how much did it cost? The Pulse Light Clinic offers quite a few different packages, and I would definitely recommend booking multiple sessions and trying to book something when they offer discounts. So I actually managed to use an influencer discount code, and to tell you what I got, I had this package of 8 sessions, just a 5 areas one. Right now it's priced at £1,500, but I got it for £985, and on their website currently they have it down to £646 with their summer sale or something. As an upfront cost, yes, it sounds like a lot of money, but when you think about it, like in the long term, and if it is effective for you, then it will work out cheaper than having to buy, you know, like razors for the rest of your life. Obviously you can get like zero waste razors, those that are metal, so that obviously helps save the planet and will reduce your cost, but you know, it saves you buying hair removal kits or like razors or going to get waxes every so often. Again, it's your decision as to whether you actually want to remove your hair or not, and then what method you choose, where you put your money. But as I said, it's an expensive upfront cost, but like it probably will work out cheaper in the long term. Logistics and how it actually works is the next thing I'm going to talk about. The first thing I'll say is obviously I had 8 sessions, which I said before, but I'll say it again. And then they're spaced like 6 to 8 weeks apart because that allows hair to regrow, because in order for laser to work, it needs to be able to target melanin, which is the pigment in your hair follicles. Hair is basically made of a protein, which you've probably heard of before. It's called keratin, and hair is essentially dead cells filled with this protein keratin, and it also contains melanin, which is responsible for the color of your hair, and that's genetically determined. Hair will grow through your hair follicles, and the hair follicle grows in a growth cycle with 3 phases. So you have the anagen or the growth phase, which is where you have division of the cells to basically push the hair up and out. You then have the catagen phase, which is the regression phase, and that's usually 2 to 3 weeks. And then you finally have the telogen or the rest phase, that's usually 3 months. Now I didn't tell you the length of the anagen or the growth phase because that basically varies depending on like your age, gender, hormones, and also the body part. So different areas of your body will have different lengths of the hair cycle because the anagen phase varies in length. So I will generally put some numbers on the screen, but like your face has the shortest hair cycle, and then the longest is normally seen on your legs of up to a year. And the most important thing about laser hair removal is that it is most effective when the hair is in the anagen or the growth phase. Now because not all of your hair follicles are growing in sync with each other, then it means that not all of your hairs are going to fall out at the same time because they are targeted with the laser at different points in the growth cycle. So if they're not targeted during the early anagen phase when it's most effective, then it's unlikely to fully damage that hair follicle, and so it takes time, and that's why you have to have multiple sessions in order for laser to actually, you know, be effective overall. Originally I thought I would be done with my laser in 8 weeks flat. I thought you had 1 session every week, but it's definitely not that fast and it doesn't happen that quickly. So I started at the end of 2021. So in November on the 16th, I had my first ever session, and then I had my last one at the very start of this year, so at the end of January. That's just over a year for 8 sessions with 6 to 8 weeks between them, but sometimes I'd need to leave it a bit longer just in case I'd, you know, tanned slightly, because I went away last year in summer, so I did like tan slightly. I know I'm basically a walking sunblock. As I'm going to talk about, you need to limit your sun exposure when you are having laser done. But then in terms of like the actual sessions and how you kind of prepare for them, the first thing I will say is mentally you need to prepare yourself. You know, I'd never had wax done before this, so I just was not used to lying on a bed basically butt naked. You know, if someone saw me like that, the first session I was very humiliated and quite embarrassed, but I just got used to it over time. And I always asked to have like a sheet put over, you know, my private parts down there just before they were doing that, because I just preferred to have a bit more coverage. So before the session, like the day before or either in the morning, depending on how much time you have, you need to shave in the areas where you're going to have laser. You just have to make sure all of the hair is completely gone, and sometimes that can be quite difficult, I'm not gonna lie. Perianal region is quite awkward, but you need to shave it off. And the reason why you can't wax or shave is because you need melanin, and if you like completely rip the hair out, which is what happens when you wax or you epilate, then the laser just won't work. So you need to shave, because that just like trims the hair at the surface level. The second thing that they will tell you is that you can't use like deodorants or creams on the body areas where you're going to have laser done. I mean, it's not the end of the world because you can just wipe it off, but like you need to have fresh skin. That's basically all the prep you need to do. There's nothing more to it. You just rock up to your laser session, you go in, and then you just lie on the table, you get undressed, and they will do the laser for you. They normally do it very systematically, so they will draw on like the area, the patch that they're removing hair from, and then they'll like make a grid so that they get all of the hair. It's very quick, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was gonna take longer, but to do my whole session, it was like around 40 minutes. And afterwards, they do normally give you like aloe vera gel just to like soothe and cool the area, because as I'm gonna talk about, it is actually really quite painful. So laser essentially stands for something that I always forget, but it's light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. I know it sounds really complicated, but essentially laser will emit light at a specific wavelength. That's all I really want you to know. And laser hair removal is based on this principle of selective photothermolysis. Now that basically means that it is targeting something selectively, and it's using light, hence photo, to destroy something by thermal action. So thermolysis means lysis or splitting using heat, thermo. So selective photothermolysis. And this laser, this specific wavelength of light, is going to target something that absorbs light at a specific wavelength. And that is what we call a chromophore. So the laser device emits light at a specific wavelength, and then the chromophore absorbs light at a specific wavelength. And during laser hair removal, the chromophore that we are targeting is melanin. So as I said, that's part of hair. Melanin is the pigment, and we are targeting that selectively in laser hair removal. Well, I keep hiccuping too much today. Now, the goal of laser hair removal ultimately is to selectively destroy the hair follicle. And that happens because laser emits light at this specific wavelength, which is then absorbed by the chromophore melanin. And that light energy is transferred into heat energy, which is used to then destroy the hair follicle stem cell. So this is a cell that sits at the bottom or the base of the hair follicle, and it's basically responsible for giving rise to the cells that will ultimately make the hair. So if you're using heat to destroy this hair follicle stem cell, then ultimately you are going to prevent hair growth from that particular hair follicle. I am someone who is an ideal candidate technically for laser hair removal. If you have very dark hair and light skin, it's easier for the laser to selectively target my melanin, in contrast to someone who has like my skin tone but like blonde hair or grey or ginger hair, for example. But basically, when you go for like your patch testing and stuff, they will assess your skin tone and your hair color, and then they will choose the best laser device for you. So I'm not going to go into the physics of everything, but the different laser devices have different wavelengths, and they will pick one that's going to be best for you and hopefully achieve the best results. So I had the Alexandrite laser. It has like a medium wavelength, but there are different lasers. I'm going to put a diagram up, and they will essentially pick one that is best for you, so hopefully you get the maximum reduction in hair growth. You'll be told the exact specifics but you're not allowed to do exercise for like a day or so afterwards, and you can't have like really hot showers because you just don't want the hair follicle to heat up afterwards. And then the final thing that I'll say is like, you know, how long does it take to start seeing changes? So after a session, you normally wait for like a week, and then you'll start to see hairs falling out. Now, not every hair will fall out because it depends on the hair cycle, but after a week you will start to see hairs just like shed and fall out. You can also like exfoliate to encourage the hairs to start shedding, but that's generally what happens. So I understand this might be slightly strange for you guys, but in order to genuinely like show you how effective my laser hair removal has been, I feel like I need to actually show you it instead of me just like trying to tell you and describe it. I'm not going to show you obviously like my private parts, absolutely not. But yeah, if you are like freaking out a bit, I would just like question why. Like, it's literally just hair. I haven't epilated or shaved my hair in like a good few weeks, and I'm not ashamed of that at all, but like it can, you know, very much show you guys what my hair growth looks like now that I've had 8 sessions of laser hair removal. Now the first thing I'll say is, what was I gonna say first? Actually, that's a good question. I didn't get pictures even of like my hair growth before having laser, so I can't unfortunately show you guys before and after very well. If I do have any pictures that I find on my camera roll, I will insert them as like a before photo. You know, for me, I found that it took like about 5 or 6 sessions for me to actually start seeing results, and by that I mean I started to see the hair thinning out and it was getting less dense. And bear in mind, when I first went for my like patch test and first ever session, the people doing my laser were literally like, oh my gosh, your hair is so thick and coarse. So to have ended up with these results, you know, I'm very happy. During the 6 to 8 weeks between your sessions, when you have to wait, like, you can shave. They advise not to epilate or wax so you don't fully remove the hair from the hair follicle. But like, when I did have to shave, if I was going swimming or I was going to the gym, for example, I mean, I didn't have to shave, as I said at the start, like, it was a personal choice. But like, when I did want to shave for that reason, I found that it like almost stimulated the hair growth again, and I didn't seem to see any difference. So what I would say is that as much as possible, try not to shave during your sessions if you can. And especially during the first like week when you're waiting for the hair to fall out, just like don't touch it at all. But anyway, we're just gonna get into the hair show. I think I'll start with my legs. Bear in mind they are quite hairy, but as I said, it's honestly fine. It's just leg hair. I'm just gonna have to strip off. I'm gonna show you as well like my thighs, because as I said, like I didn't have it done there because it's really, really thin. You literally can't even see any hairs. Oh my god. Trust me, there are hairs here somewhere. Okay, so bear in mind my knees are the hairiest part of my legs. And I'm not even sure my camera actually wants to focus on my leg, but as you can see, this is my leg hair. And then from the top, this is such a weird angle. I'm also super pale. Did I even go to Asia? I'm gonna stop moving it and try and get the camera to focus. I have a hairier side, which is actually the other side. So maybe I should have shown you that. This is the top down view of my other knee. The hairs are just quite long because I haven't removed them in a while, but they are just really sparse. I don't even know if you can see that properly, but there's obviously hair there. What I'm trying to show you guys is that my hair still grows in these areas of my bodies. In these areas of my bodies, that doesn't even make sense. Hair still grows, but I saw the most effective results on my bikini line, which I'm not gonna show you. And then also on my armpits, I saw like a lot of growth reduction. Like, I hardly do anything to my armpits now. I'm honestly super happy with those results, which I'll show you. I'm so sorry, this is so intimate. This is such a nice angle. I really hope it's focused on my armpit, but this is my armpit. As you can clearly see, there's basically no hair there. I've just gotten a bit closer, but that is the result of my armpit. I'm also gonna show you the other one quickly, because this is my hairier side. So you can see a bit more hair there, and they're kind of like very thin, a bit long because I don't really do anything to them now. But yeah, this is the final result. With my bikini line, I'm gonna tell you guys that I now don't basically shave like the sides, the bit that you would see if you were wearing like knickers or a bikini. I just don't get hair there anymore, which for me is like really good. Even though the actual hair on the pubis, like the mons pubis or whatever, is a lot lighter, you know, it doesn't really bother me, and I literally don't do anything with it. But yeah, back end, haven't checked that in a while. I'm not hairless, I'm not a dolphin, but I am like personally happy with the results, and if I one day go back to have more laser, I'd expect to see even more reductions in hair growth. Obviously it's best not to have this gap, but like, I personally don't think it will make that much difference for me. I'm not sure if this is focused, but as I said, I was gonna try and show you the hair on my thighs, which is like so fluffy. You know, you can see the bum fluff right there. That's basically covering my whole thigh, essentially. Whoa, gonna fall. As I alluded to before, laser hair removal is actually really quite painful. I personally have quite a high pain tolerance, and you know, I got used to epilating, which is a machine that has like essentially loads of tweezers in it and it plucks out your hairs, but I found it more painful than epilating, and that really surprised me. I didn't think laser was this painful. I will warn you, and don't let this put you off, but like, just know that it is a painful experience, okay? The most painful area is your like pubis. Oh my god, like sometimes I had to be given a ball to squeeze, like a stress ball, because I would just tense up so much, and obviously if you are tensing up, it's just gonna make it worse. And also throughout your sessions, they do increase the strength of the laser, so I think that makes it worse. But also psychologically, because I was like anticipating the pain, and pain, you know, perception is like definitely something we can control. I feel like it was more painful for that reason as well, because I was expecting pain and I was like telling myself it is going to be painful. For me, my armpits were like fine because I was very used to epilating and it wasn't too painful there, but it was just like the bikini line area. I would literally grip my teeth and like clench my fist because it was just so painful. But yeah, don't let it put you off. Just be warned, okay? I wish someone had told me that. Well, actually I don't wish someone told me that, because I eventually found out and there was nothing I could do. So yeah, so as I was going along my process, I did like make notes of some of the downsides of laser, because obviously the main advantage is, you know, it can work really effectively for you and you can have significant reductions in hair growth. I'm not gonna say you're never gonna have any hair growth again, but like, it can be really effective for some people. But on the flip side, I do think there are some downsides that should be acknowledged. The first one, and the kind of obvious one, is that, you know, it's quite expensive upfront and it also takes quite a long time, and that meant I couldn't like leave the UK. Obviously that's not really my plan anymore, but I did have previous plans to go away long term, traveling, be this digital nomad, so it tied me to the UK. The next thing is that you can't have sun exposure. So I mentioned this before, but like, if you do get a tan, for example, and there is less of a contrast then between your skin tone and your skin pigment, then it can cause burning. If you do get a tan, then they will ask you to delay the time between your sessions, so you'll have to wait longer than 6 to 8 weeks probably, so that your tan can fade, and then you'll have a new patch test so they can like readjust the settings, and then if there are no like side effects, there's no burning, you will go into your actual session. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the Pulse Light Clinic itself. I do have a slight bone to pick with them. As I said, I would recommend them, but I would just say that at my initial consultation, when I had like the first patch test and they were like telling me about what would happen essentially, I feel like I was oversold the service. That just was slightly misleading in a way, because I was told by, you know, someone who works there that after 8 sessions, you know, after my package was complete, I would basically be a dolphin. Am I a dolphin right now? No, I'm not, as I've shown you guys. Laser is basically something that you will have ongoing, but like after 8 sessions you'll probably have to book more, but they will just be more spaced out. Also with the Pulse Light Clinic, I will say there's variation amongst the staff. Like, it really does depend on who you get. Some people are very, very thorough and they are like so focused, and I feel like they do a really good job. Others like do it really quickly. They're either like push for time, or they just, you know, they don't want to spend time doing your laser hair removal, which is annoying because you're all paying the same amount. Everyone should get the same treatment. You can request to have the same person do your laser every time, which is something I think I would do if I were to repeat it or go back and have it done again. As I've said before, you can't wax or epilate between your sessions because you need the hair to be there. And the other thing to note is that sometimes hormonal fluctuations can influence your results. So certain areas like, you know, your bikini line, they are greatly influenced by hormonal changes, and that can affect your results, so it's something to be mindful of. The next thing is something called paradoxical hypertrichosis. I think that's how you say it. But it's something we can't explain just yet, but it's essentially where sometimes laser hair removal, instead of doing what it's designed to do, i.e. destroy the hair follicle so the hair falls out, it can stimulate hair growth. I didn't experience this, but I was told that it might happen along my snail trail. Sometimes if the hair is like really thin to start with, it might cause hair growth, so stimulate it instead of like prevent it. So I didn't have like 8 total sessions down my snail trail for that reason. I didn't want thick hair, and that's also the reason why I didn't have like the top half of my legs done, because my hair there is basically bum fluff. So the last couple of points are, there are some potential complications as a result of laser. Now these are quite rare and they're normally just temporary, but you can like get a rash, you can have like redness, it might be a little bit sore, sometimes you can have blistering, burning is slightly more severe, but as I said, they don't often happen, especially if you are in good hands. And those complications usually arise if, you know, you've had a tan, for example, or like you haven't properly allowed the skin to cool afterwards. Like if you go and have a really hot shower or something, then that might aggravate the skin. So you just have to be mindful of that. And then sometimes you can have like infections, but like again, if the machine and all of the equipment is clean, then it shouldn't happen. And the last thing is something I've actually been asked, like, does laser hair removal cause skin cancer? Now to date there is no evidence that it causes skin cancer, and mechanistically that makes sense because laser hair removal does not use ionizing radiation like gamma rays, UV or X-rays, and so that cannot induce DNA damage, which is seen in pretty much every case of cancer. Now obviously cancer is not just to do with genetic mutations and changes to your DNA. There can be other things that help to stimulate cancer. However, at this point in time, there is no biological evidence or mechanistic evidence to suggest that laser hair removal causes skin cancer. So that's something that you shouldn't worry about. So that is basically my overall experience with laser hair removal. If I had to draw conclusions based on my experience and based on the research that is out there currently, I would first of all say, and as I've said previously in this video, go to a professional and reputable clinic. The second thing I would say is, based on my experience and again the literature, laser hair removal at best can like significantly reduce hair growth. It's very rare to see permanent reductions in hair growth, okay? Studies have quoted that after every session and when optimal parameters are used, there will be a 20 to 30% reduction in hair growth. I definitely didn't see that at the start, maybe towards the end of my treatment, but you know, that's when optimal parameters are used, and that's a best case scenario. So what I would say is that it's going to be based on your personal experience at this point. For me, I would say I'm at like a 7 out of 10 in terms of satisfaction based on my 8 sessions. As I said, I might in the future go back and have more, but that's essentially my conclusion, my experience. Again, as I said at the start of this video, leave any further questions and stuff down below if you guys are interested in asking more. Like this video if you did enjoy it, subscribe if you are new, and as always, I will speak to you very soon in another video. Bye! This lighting is gonna annoy me, as per usual. Whoa, sucked up the bubbles. Still undetermined, I would say. There's a wasp in my room! Oh my god, it's actually coming through there. Okay, it went out the window. Oh my god, I'm sweating. So we're gonna talk about the biology of hair just to get us all on the same page. Oh my god, I need blackout lines. Genuinely. I'm actually really hot. Oh my god, like the lighting is so annoying. Why am I so exposed right now? Whoa! I need to find the best lighting, you guys. What the hell? Why is there always so much noise? Let's just make it dark. Dark, dark, dark. Okay, they will tell you the actual specific... We're running out of storage space. Oh my god.